Bart Taiho was alone in space when they came for him. His small cargo ship floated in the dark between stars. The engine had stopped working 2 hours ago. He had sent a distress signal and was waiting for help. He sat in his pilot chair, drinking cold coffee and looking at the stars through the window. Taiho was 34 years old. He had short black hair and a scar on his chin from his time in the military. He had served as a Marine in the Republic of Korea for 8 years before he became a pilot. Now he moved cargo between the outer colonies. It was quiet work. He liked it that way. The stars outside his window suddenly disappeared. Something huge moved in front of his ship. Taiho put down his coffee and leaned forward. His heart began to beat faster. The thing outside was massive. It was a ship, but not like any ship he had ever seen. It was black and smooth, shaped like a teardrop. No lights, no markings. Just darkness against darkness. Then the lights inside his own ship went out. Taiho reached for the emergency flashlight under his seat. Before his fingers touched it, he felt something cold wrap around his arms. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. The world turned white, then black, then nothing at all. When Taiho opened his eyes, he was lying on a hard floor. The floor was white. The walls were white. The ceiling was white. There was no door that he could see. A single bright light hung above him, making his eyes hurt. He sat up slowly. His head felt heavy and strange. He was still wearing his flight suit, but his boots were gone. His watch was gone. The knife he kept in his pocket was gone. Taiho stood up. His legs were weak, but they held him. He walked to one of the walls and touched it. It was smooth and cold, like glass. He knocked on it. The sound was dull and dead. Then a part of the wall opened. 3 creatures walked into the room. Taiho stepped back and pressed himself against the far wall. His heart was pounding so hard, he could hear it in his ears. The creatures were tall. Very tall. They were at least 2 meters high, maybe more. Their skin was gray, the color of wet stone. They had 4 arms, 2 on each side of their bodies. Their heads were large and oval-shaped. They had no noses that Taiho could see. Their mouths were small and lipless. But their eyes were the worst part. They had eyes like insects, big and black and made of many tiny parts. The eyes did not blink. They just watched. One of the creatures stepped forward. It wore something on its chest, a small metal box with a blinking light. When it opened its mouth, a clicking sound came out. But the metal box spoke in a flat, dead voice. Human Specimen 742. You are now property of the Valori Research Division. You will cooperate with all tests and examinations. Resistance will result in pain. Taiho stared at the creature. His mind was moving fast, trying to understand what was happening. Aliens. Real aliens. They had taken him. He was a prisoner. The old training from his military days began to wake up inside him. He had been taught what to do if he was captured. Stay calm. Watch. Learn. Wait. He took a slow breath. My name is Pak Taiho, he said. His voice was steady. I am a citizen of Earth. I want to go home. The 3 aliens looked at each other. Their compound eyes made it hard to read their expressions, but Taiho thought they seemed surprised. Maybe confused. The one with the translator box spoke again. You do not understand your situation. You are far from your home planet. You cannot escape. You will never leave this ship. Taiho said nothing. He just looked at them. Another one of the aliens, this one smaller than the first, made a series of clicking sounds. The translator turned it into words. Commander Veth, the creature shows no fear response. Its heart rate is elevated, but its behavior does not match. This is unusual. The one called Commander Veth tilted its head. All 4 of its arms moved slightly, like it was thinking. Humans are new to us. Perhaps they are simply stupid and do not understand danger. I understand, Taiho said quietly. I understand very well. Commander Veth moved closer. Its shadow fell over Taiho. Up close, Taiho could see that its gray skin had tiny scales, like a snake. It smelled strange, like metal and something sweet. Then why do you not beg? Veth asked. Why do you not cry? Every species we have studied does this. They scream. They plead. They offer us anything we want. But you just stand there. Taiho looked up into those terrible insect eyes. He thought about his mother back on Earth. He thought about his little brother Youngsu, who's probably worried sick by now. He thought about all the people waiting for him to come home. Then he smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had made a decision. A man who had decided that no matter what happened, no matter how much it hurt, he would not break. Where I come from, Taiho said, we have a saying. What does not kill me makes me stronger. He paused. So go ahead. Do your tests. I will still be here when you are finished. And one day, I will go home. Commander Veth stared at him for a long moment. Then it turned and walked out of the room. The other two followed. The wall closed behind them. Taiho was alone again. He sat down on the cold floor and closed his eyes. He did not know how long he would be here. He did not know what they would do to him. But he knew one thing. He was Park Taiho. He had survived worse than this. He would survive this too. The days passed slowly in the white room. Taiho did not know how many days. There was no window. The light never changed. He slept when he was tired and woke when the aliens came for him. Sometimes they came often. Sometimes they did not come for a long time. The tests began on what Taiho thought was the second day. They took him to a large room filled with strange machines. They made him run on a moving floor until his legs burned and his lungs screamed for air. They measured everything. How fast his heart beat. How much he sweated. How long he could keep going before he fell. Taiho fell many times. Each time, he got back up. A small alien watched him from behind a glass wall. This one was different from Commander Veth. It was shorter, and its gray skin had a slight blue color to it. It wore a white coat and held a device that it kept looking at. Taiho learned that this one was called Dr. Shale. The human's body recovers quickly, Dr. Shale said to the others. Its muscles produce a chemical that allows it to continue functioning even when damaged. This is very strange. Most species stop when they feel pain. Taiho heard this through the translator in the room. He smiled to himself as he ran. They thought this was strange. They had no idea what humans could do. The next day, they tested his pain. They put him in a chair and attached wires to his skin. Then they sent electricity through the wires. It was not enough to kill him, but it hurt. It hurt more than anything Taiho had ever felt. His whole body shook. His teeth pressed together so hard, he thought they might break. But he did not scream. He thought about his training. He thought about the other Marines who had gone through this same test back on Earth. He thought about the instructors who had told them that pain was just a message that could be ignored. The electricity stopped. Taiho was breathing hard. His body was covered in sweat. But he looked up at the aliens watching him through the glass and smiled. Is that all you have? He asked. The aliens did not answer. They just made notes on their devices. The days continued. They stopped giving him food. Taiho's stomach hurt with hunger. He felt weak and dizzy. But he had been hungry before. During his military training, they had made him go without food for 5 days while marching through mountains. This was nothing new. They stopped giving him water. His mouth became dry. His lips cracked. His head ached. But he had been thirsty before, too. He knew how to manage it. He rested as much as he could. He did not move unless he had to. He waited. On what might have been the seventh day, they stopped letting him sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, a loud noise filled the room. It was like metal being torn apart. It made his head feel like it was splitting in two. This was the hardest test. Taiho had learned in the military that sleep deprivation was the worst torture. It made you see things that were not there. It made you forget who you were. It made you want to do anything, say anything, just to rest. He started seeing his mother's face in the white walls. He heard his brother's voice calling his name. He forgot where he was. He forgot why he was here, but he did not forget who he was. I am Park Taiho, he whispered to himself again and again. I am from Earth. I will go home. Dr. Shale watched the human through the monitoring screen. Her four hands moved nervously over her recording device. She had been studying alien species for 30 cycles of her home planet Sun. She had seen hundreds of creatures in this room. She had seen them all break. This human would not break. Commander Veth, she said, her voice shaking slightly through her mandibles. I must report something unusual. Commander Veth walked over to look at the screen. The human was sitting in the corner of his cell, his eyes open but unfocused. He had not slept in 60 hours. He should be going mad by now. He should be screaming, begging, promising anything for rest. Instead, he was doing exercises. The human was moving his body in slow, careful motions, stretching his arms, bending his legs, rolling his shoulders. Even without sleep, even without food or water, he was trying to keep himself strong. What is he doing? Veth asked. I believe he is maintaining his physical condition, Dr. Shale answered. He knows we are testing his limits. So he is trying to push those limits further. This behavior is not in any of our records. No other species does this. Veth's compound eyes focused on the screen. Interesting. There is more, Dr. Shale continued. Yesterday, he spoke to me through the feeding slot. He asked about my family. He asked if I had children. When I did not answer, he told me about his own family. His mother, his brother. Psychological manipulation, Veth said. He's trying to make you see him as a person so you will treat him better. I thought so too at first. But Commander, his stress hormones did not change when he spoke. He was not lying or pretending. He was genuinely curious about me. Dr. Shale paused. I believe he was trying to make a connection. A friendship. Veth turned to look at her. With his captor? With the person who was hurting him? Yes. They both looked at the screen. The human had stopped exercising. He was looking directly at the camera, as if he knew they were watching. Then he smiled and waved. This creature frightens me, Dr. Shale said quietly. Not because he is dangerous, but because he refuses to hate us. He should hate us. We have taken everything from him. But instead, he waves at us like we are friends. Commander Veth did not respond. But deep in his chest, in the place where his species felt fear, something cold was beginning to grow. The tests would have to become more serious. They needed to find this human's breaking point, because if they could not break him, then they would have to ask themselves a very troubling question. What else could this species endure? And what would they do to those who hurt them? Commander Veth was losing patience. It had been 12 days. 12 days of tests. 12 days of watching this strange creature refuse to break. The human named Park Taiho had survived everything they had done to him. Pain, hunger, thirst, sleeplessness. He was thinner now, and dark circles hung under his eyes. But he was still there, still watching, still waiting, still smiling. Veth called a meeting with his research team. They gathered in the observation room, looking down at the human cell through a thick glass window. Taiho was doing his exercises again, moving slowly but steadily, We have learned much about human biology, Dr. Shale reported. Their bodies are remarkably adaptable. They can survive in conditions that would kill most species. But we have not achieved our primary objective. Which is? Veth asked, though he already knew. To find the breaking point? The moment when survival instinct takes over and the creature becomes controllable. Shale paused. Every species has this point. When they reach it, they will do anything to survive. They will betray their own kind. They will give us any information we want. But this human has not reached that point. No, Commander. He has not. Veth's forearms crossed over his chest. He stared down at the human. Then we must try something different. We must attack not his body, but his mind. His emotions. What do you suggest? Veth turned to face his team. When we captured this human, his ship carried 2 crew members. We have the other one in a separate holding area. A female of his species. Dr. Shale's blue-gray skin became slightly paler. You want to use her? Yes. Humans are social creatures. They form strong bonds with each other. This male has shown no fear for his own life. But perhaps he will show fear for hers. The door to Taiho's cell opened. He looked up from his exercises, expecting to see Dr. Shale or one of the guards. Instead, 2 large Valori soldiers walked in, dragging someone between them. Taiho's heart stopped, thought it was Yoonji. Lieutenant Kim Yoonji, his co-pilot. His friend. They had worked together for 2 years. She was smart and tough, and she made terrible jokes that always made him laugh. Now she looked broken. Her face was bruised. Her lip was split and swollen. Her flight suit was torn. She hung between the soldiers like a puppet with cut strings, barely able to stand. When she saw Taiho, tears began to fall from her eyes. Taiho, she whispered. I tried not to tell them anything. I tried to be strong like you. Taiho moved toward her, but 2 more soldiers appeared and grabbed his arms. They were strong, much stronger than him. He could not break free. Let her go, he said. His voice was calm, but his eyes were not. Something had changed in them. Something dark and cold and dangerous. Commander Veth walked into the room behind the soldiers. He looked at the 2 humans with his compound eyes. Ah, he said through his translator. Now we see something new. This is the first time you have shown any strong emotion, human. You did not show it when we hurt you, but you show it when we hurt her. Taiho said nothing. His jaw was tight. His hands had become fists. Here is what will happen, Veth continued. We know that humans have colonized several planets beyond your home world. We know that Earth has a defense network, ships, weapons, soldiers. We want the codes to access this network. I do not have those codes, Yoonji said, her voice shaking. I am just a cargo pilot. I do not know military secrets. I believe you, Veth said. But we must be certain. So we will ask the male. He gestured to one of the soldiers. The soldier pulled out a plasma pistol and pressed it against Taiho's head. Taiho felt the heat of the weapon against his skin. The plasma chamber was warming up, making a soft humming sound. He knew what this weapon could do. He had seen plasma burns before. They were not clean. They were not quick. But he did not look at the gun. He looked at Yoonji. Human female, Veth said. Tell us the codes, or we kill him. I do not know the codes. Yoonji cried. Please, I am telling the truth. I do not know. Then he dies for nothing. Taiho watched Yoonji's face. He saw her terror. He saw her guilt. He saw her trying to think of something, anything, she could say to save him. He could not let her carry that weight. Yoonji, he said softly. She looked at him, her eyes wide with fear. Whatever happens, do not tell them anything. Taiho, no, look at me. His voice was gentle, but firm. I knew the risks when I became a pilot. So did you. We did not give up our people. Not ever. Do you understand? She was crying hard now, shaking her head. I cannot watch you die. You will not. He smiled at her. The same smile he had given Commander Veth on the first day. Trust me. Commander Veth watched this exchange with confusion. The male was about to die. He should be begging for his life. He should be cursing the female for not having the information that could save him. Instead, he was comforting her, telling her to stay strong. This made no sense. Last chance, Veth said. The codes. Yoonji opened her mouth, but no words came out. She had nothing to give them. Veth nodded to the soldier. The soldier pulled the trigger. The plasma bolt burned through the air. But at the last moment, Veth made a small gesture with one of his hands. The soldier adjusted his aim by a tiny amount that the bolt hit Taiho's shoulder instead of his head. The room filled with the smell of burning flesh. Taiho's body jerked against the soldiers holding him. A sound came out of his throat, something between a scream and a growl. His skin blackened and split where the plasma had touched him. Blood began to pour from the wound. Unji screamed his name, but Taiho did not fall. He lifted his head. His face was pale and covered in sweat. His breathing was fast and ragged. Blood was running down his arm, dripping onto the white floor, and his eyes were open. They were not the eyes of a dying man. They were not the eyes of a defeated man. They were the eyes of something that Commander Veth had never seen before. Something that made every instinct in his ancient brain scream a single word, run. My turn. Taiho whispered, and then everything changed. For a single heartbeat, nobody moved. The Valori soldiers were still holding Taiho's arms. Smoke rose from the wound in his shoulder. Blood dripped onto the white floor, making small red puddles. Commander Veth stood near the door, watching with his compound eyes. Dr. Shale was behind the glass window, a recording device frozen in her hands. Yoonji was still screaming. Then Taiho moved. It was not a human movement. It was something older, something that lived in the deepest part of the human brain, the part that remembered when humans were prey animals hiding from predators in the dark. That part of the brain had two responses to danger: run or fight. Taiho chose to fight. He threw his body forward toward the soldier holding the plasma pistol. The soldiers holding his arms were not ready for this. They expected him to pull away, to try to escape. Instead, he ran toward the gun. His shoulder was burning. Every movement sent waves of pain through his body. But pain was just a message, and Taiho had learned long ago how to ignore messages. His forehead hit the soldier's face. The sound was terrible, wet and crunching. 3 of the soldier's compound eyes shattered like broken glass. The soldier screamed, a high clicking sound that hurt Taiho's ears. Its forearms flew up to protect its face. Taiho grabbed a plasma pistol. It was strange in his hand, not shaped for human fingers. But a gun was a gun. He found the trigger by instinct. The other soldier tried to grab him. Taiho turned and fired. The plasma bolt hit the soldier's knee. The joint exploded in a shower of gray flesh and black blood. The soldier fell, screaming. 2 down. Taiho turned toward the door, where Commander Veth was standing. Veth's compound eyes were very wide. His forearms were raised, as if trying to push Taiho away without touching him. You, Taiho said, his voice rough with pain. Do not move. Veth did not move. Taiho looked at Yoonji. She had stopped screaming. She was staring at him like she had never seen him before. Yoonji, he said, can you walk? She nodded slowly. The soldiers who had been holding her had let go. They were backing away, their compound eyes fixed on the plasma pistol in Taiho's hand. Good. Get behind me. Yoonji walked toward him on shaking legs. When she reached him, she grabbed his burned arm without thinking. Taiho made a small sound of pain, but he did not push her away. "Door controls," he said. "Where?" She pointed to a panel on the wall near Commander Veth. "There. But Taiho, your shoulder." "I know." He walked toward Veth, the pistol never moving from the commander's head. "You are going to help us leave this ship." Veth's translator clicked. "That is not possible. There are hundreds of soldiers on this vessel. You cannot fight them all. Watch me. You are wounded. You will die from blood loss before you reach the hangar." "Maybe." Taiho smiled. It was not a nice smile. "But I will take a lot of you with me." Behind the glass window, Dr. Shale was speaking rapidly into her communication device. Taiho could not hear what she was saying, but he could guess. Reinforcements were coming. He had maybe 2 minutes. Unji opened the door. She ran to the panel and started pressing buttons. The controls were not made for human hands, but Unji was a pilot. She understood machines. After a few seconds, the door slid open. The hallway outside was empty. Emergency lights were flashing red. An alarm was making a loud wailing sound. "Move," Taiho said. They ran. Or rather, Unji ran and Taiho followed as fast as he could. His shoulder was getting worse. He could feel his blood running down his back, warm and wet. His vision was starting to blur at the edges, but he kept moving. They reached a corner. Taiho looked around it quickly, then pulled back. 4 soldiers were coming from the other direction. "How many shots?" Unji asked. Taiho checked the pistol. 3. "There are 4 of them. I know." He stepped around the corner and fired. The first shot hit the lead soldier in the chest. The second shot hit the one behind it in the head. The third shot went wide as Taiho's wounded arm shook. The last 2 soldiers raised their weapons. Taiho threw himself at them. He hit the first one with his good shoulder, knocking it into the wall. Its head struck the metal with a loud clang, and it went limp. The last soldier grabbed Taiho's neck with 2 of its arms and lifted him off the ground. Taiho could not breathe. The soldier's grip was like iron. Black spots appeared in his vision. He reached up with his good hand and pushed his thumb into one of the soldier's compound eyes. The soldier screamed and dropped him. Taiho fell to the floor, gasping for air. He grabbed the soldier's leg and pulled. The soldier fell. Taiho climbed on top of it and hit its head against the floor until it stopped moving. He lay there for a moment, breathing hard. Everything hurt. His shoulder was on fire. His throat felt crushed. His hand was covered in black alien blood. Unji appeared above him. Her face was pale. "Taiho, we have to keep moving." He nodded and let her help him up. They kept walking. The hangar was not far. Taiho could see it through a window, a large open space filled with small ships. One of them would get them home. But between them and the hangar was Commander Veth. He had found a weapon somewhere. He was pointing it at them. "Stop," Veth commanded. "You cannot leave. I will not allow it." Taiho and Unji stopped. Taiho had no more shots. He had no more strength. He was holding himself up only through pure will. But he laughed odd. It was a strange sound in the quiet hallway. Rough and broken, but real. "You still do not understand," he said. "You have been watching humans for how long? And you still do not understand what we are." "You are animals," Beth said. "Clever animals, but animals." "No." Taiho took a step forward. Then another. "We are not animals. We are not prey. We are not even predators." He smiled with bloody teeth. "We are something much worse." "What?" "We are the species that refuses to die." He took another step. Veth's weapon shook. "We are the species that drags ourselves forward when our legs are broken. That keeps fighting when our blood is gone. That survives things no other creature can survive. Another step. You wanted to find our breaking point. Here is the truth. Another step. He was close enough to touch the barrel of Veth's weapon. We do not have. 1. Veth pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. The weapon was out of power. Taeho grabbed the barrel and pulled it out of Veth's hands. Then he hit Veth across the face with it. The commander fell. Taeho stood over him, swaying on his feet. Blood was pooling around his boots. His vision was almost completely dark. Tell your people, he whispered. Tell them what happened here. Tell them that you tested a human. And tell them what the human did. Then he fell. Yoonji caught him before he hit the ground. 3 weeks later, Dr. Shale stood before the Velori High Council. The council chamber was the largest room on the home world. It was built into the side of a mountain, with walls of black stone that reached up toward the sky. 12 council members sat in a half circle, their compound eyes fixed on the small scientist standing before them. Dr. Shale's hands were shaking. All 4 of them. You may begin your report, the head counselor said. Dr. Shale took a deep breath and activated her data device. A holographic image appeared in the air above her. It showed a human male, thin and wounded, standing in a hallway covered in blood. 18 days ago, she began. Our research vessel captured 2 human specimens from a cargo ship near the outer edges of their territory. Our mission was to study their species, to find their weaknesses, to determine if they posed a threat to the Velori Empire. She pressed a button, and the image changed. It now showed Commander Veth lying on the floor, his face broken. I am here to give you our conclusion. The council waited. Humans are a threat. The greatest threat our empire has ever faced. A murmur went through the chamber. The head counselor raised one of his arms for silence. Explain, he said. Dr. Shale nodded. For 12 days, we tested the male human. We pushed his body beyond what any species should be able to survive. We starved him. We denied him water. We kept him awake until his brain should have stopped working. We caused him pain that would kill most creatures. She paused. He did not break. He did not beg. He did not even hate us. He simply waited and watched and learned. The holographic image changed again. It showed security footage from the incident. The council watched as Taeho was shot in the shoulder. They watched him smile. They watched him attack. In 43 seconds, Dr. Shale continued, this wounded, starving, exhausted human killed 6 of our soldiers and disabled 4 more. He fought his way through our ship while losing blood faster than his body could replace it. By all medical knowledge, he should have died. But he did not. How? One of the council members asked. How is this possible? Because humans do not follow the rules that other species follow. When we feel pain, we stop. When we lose blood, we become weak. When we are afraid, we run. But humans do not do these things. She pressed another button. A diagram appeared, showing a human brain. This is where the answer lies. Humans have a brain structure that allows them to ignore their own survival instincts. They can choose to fight even when fighting means death. They can choose to endure pain because they believe the pain has meaning. They can choose to die for others. She looked at the council. Do you understand what this means? We cannot threaten them. We cannot break them through torture. The things that work on every other species will not work on humans, because they simply choose not to let those things work. The head counselor leaned forward. What happened to the human? And to the commander? We let them go. Silence fell over the chamber. You let them go. The head counselor repeated slowly. Yes. Commander Veth made the decision while the male human was unconscious from blood loss. The female human had reached our medical bay and was threatening to destroy our ship's power core if we did not release them. 1 wounded human and 1 unarmed human held your entire vessel hostage? Yes, counselor. And we believed them. Because we had seen what the male human did when he thought the female was in danger. We knew that the female would do the same for him. Dr. Shale's voice became quieter. Humans do not just fight for themselves. They fight for each other. They form bonds so strong that threatening one human makes all the others more dangerous. And there are billions of them, counselor. Millions of creatures who would tear themselves apart to protect the ones they love. She turned off her data device. The holographic images disappeared. My recommendation to this council is simple. Do not engage the humans. Do not provoke them. Do not take their people. Leave them alone. And if they come for us. The head counselor asked what Dr. Shale thought about the human's face. The smile. The blood. The eyes that refused to close even when death was coming for him. Then I suggest you pray to whatever gods you believe in, she said. Because nothing else will save you. Far across the galaxy, a small ship limped toward Earth. Eung sat in the pilot's chair, guiding them through the stars. Behind her, on a medical bed she had set up in the cargo hold, Taiho was sleeping. His shoulder was wrapped in bandages. The Valori had given them medical supplies before letting them go. Eunji suspected it was out of fear, not kindness. But she did not care. The supplies were keeping Taiho alive. She looked back at him. He was pale and thin and covered in scars that had not been there 3 weeks ago. But he was breathing. His heart was beating. He was going to survive, just like he had promised. Taiho's eyes opened. He looked around slowly, then found Eunji. "Where are we?" he asked. His voice was weak but clear. 2 days from the outer colonies, she said. We are almost home. He closed his eyes and smiled. Good. Eunji turned back to her controls. But she could not stop thinking about what had happened. About the things she had seen Taiho do. Taiho, she said quietly. What you did back there. How did you do it? How did you keep fighting when your body was failing? He was quiet for a long moment. She thought he might have fallen asleep again. Then he spoke. My mother used to tell me stories, he said. About our ancestors. About the wars they survived. The invasions they fought off. The times when everyone said Korea would fall, and it never did. He opened his eyes and looked at the stars outside the window. She told me that our people have a special gift. We do not know how to give up. We fight when we are outnumbered. We rebuild when everything is destroyed. We keep going when there is no reason to hope. He smiled softly. I just did what my ancestors always did. I refused to stop. I refused to break. I refused to let them win. Eunji felt tears in her eyes. She wiped them away quickly. You are an idiot, she said. You could have died. Yes, Taiho agreed. But I did not. And now we are going home. She laughed despite herself. It felt good to laugh. Behind them, somewhere in the darkness of space, the Valori Empire was learning a lesson that humanity had taught. Every enemy throughout history never start a fight with humans, because humans do not fight to survive. They fight to win, and they never, ever stop.